Hey everyone, hopefully you're having a good day. My name's Andy. My channel is Finding Value. Today we're going to do our daily technical analysis update of commodities, work our way through the dollar, yields, precious metals, and commodities ETFs that I follow. If you need any help with anything, check out finding-value.com. That's where we have a community set up where we've got a Discord channel. We interact, members interact with each other. I go on there all the time. We have question and answer sessions on the weekends. I can directly answer your questions if you have questions, and I do midweek updates on Wednesdays. So let's dive in. Let's take a look and see what's going on in the markets today. And I'll give you my financial opinions. So the DXY, it still looks good to go higher, guys. It's still looking good. We've got a trend line. A trend line is just wherever you hit the trend line in all these different spots. Same within here. You can see that we paused at the trend line, making it even more valid, and we are heading higher. At least today we were heading higher, 0.2%. I also see that stair-stepping pattern that I generally see for a continuation move where we step on these guys and move on higher. So that's kind of what I look at. We've got a broken downtrend. We've got a continuation move to the upside. We've broken out of that little flag pattern, and it still looks good to go higher. And that just means that the dollar, the strength is going up relative to other currencies. They have all jumped off the same airplane and are dive bombing to zero. We're just measuring the relative strength against all of them dive bombing, just to keep that clear. The 2-year yield still looks good to go higher if it decides to go higher. Again, I don't know with 100% certainty which direction these go. We're playing the game of probabilities and what I've seen in history. A lot of the times you get these small little selling pressure days. Sometimes it's a good, there's a probability that this could bust through, but there's also a probability that it wants to stay within the channel. So we're above this trend line of this megaphone pattern. We've got small selling pressure. So with the lead in of the buying pressure coming into it, I think we've paused at this resistance level, and I think we still have the ability to try to get above this megaphone pattern. It doesn't mean that it's 100% in the bag. The 10-year yield continuing to move higher. We're up 1.22%, and that looks like it's good to continue higher. Momentum's definitely to the upside. And then the 30-year yield is also momentum to the upside, and we'll see if we can keep punching through these resistance lines as we go through this resistance line here. Or are we going to get a reversal candlestick here, which we'll see tomorrow or a few days from now? And I'll let you know when I see it. And remember, yields price assets. They shift money in the system differently when yields are going up versus when yields are going down. TYX TNX ratio up a little bit today. That's generally a tailwind behind gold when this goes up. Now, when we look at this, we've got a pattern where we were basically basing out. We squeezed up, broke to the upside, and I think we have the potential to go higher. And what that means is the 10-year is going to go up less than the 30-year, or the 10-year is going to go down more than the 30-year. If the Crash brothers are all right, if those guys are right and we do get a slowdown or recession, we should see yields drop. But we're not seeing yields drop. We're seeing yields go higher in a bear steepener pattern where the yield curve could uninvert, but it's doing it on the long end of the curve by going up. And that's why we're seeing the 30-year and 10-year go up together. Bond prices were down. We're back against that support level. Again, momentum's to the downside. We'll see what occurs here. I'd like to see the candlesticks and the data over the next few weeks of trading. And then the 2 and 10, it was down a little bit, but again, it was a bear steepener. And this does look like we could come back to that level and do another retest to the downside there. Gold up about $8 an ounce. This to me still looks like we could go lower. The reason I say that is because the yields on the 10 and 30 are going up. Gold can go up with yields going up like the 1970s, but I think people need to be afraid of the bond market and currencies. I don't know if we're there yet. I also see larger selling pressure right here and then kind of a weak bounce. I think it's favored. My inclination is it's favoring to the downside. Think of it as like a flag pattern, and we'll see how much follow through it has. Silver, nice little reversal candlestick here. That doesn't look too bad. That's a bullish piercing pattern where the opening price closes downward, or opens, sorry, it opens down, gaps down in the morning, and then it closes above the 50th percentile mark of the candlestick before it. Really what it is, it's just a downtrend line broken. So if we were to look at this, it's a downtrend line that is broken. Well, it's not broken that longer downtrend line. Hold on, that's a 5 minute. That's like we're zoomed way in there. There it is. So the downtrend line here is about to be broken. We're almost breaking that downtrend line, and that's what we're seeing there. Platinum, we were up 0.65 today. This looks like we're trying to bottom. We get large selling, selling pressure move. We get a reversal candlestick, small selling pressure, and it looks like it's ready to try to move on up. I also think palladium's trying to put in a bottom here. Big selling pressure, back against support. It'll base out and eventually work its way on up. XAU to gold ratio, we're bouncing off that support level. This guy here that I drew a long, long time ago. We came down, bounced off it, and we are heading on higher. This just means that the gold and silver mining companies are outperforming gold itself. The big key level here is this big downtrend line. That's the big one. We want to break that, guys. We haven't broken it yet. I think gold's got to get moving, and historically, yields got to drop. We need fear in the market. We need a safe haven asset. And then I think when people get afraid, gold will anticipate a move by the Fed to print more money or do QE or lower interest rates, whatever it is. That's what we're waiting for, in my opinion. The CRB index up a little bit, 0.5%. Today, that looks fantastic to continue higher. That looks really good. Broken downtrend line, nice good candlesticks there. So that's looking good for the CRB. This looks good, guys. Hopefully we can get some momentum there. CRB to S&P 500, we were up a little bit against the S&P, and hopefully we can try to put in a bottom right where we're at. We have a big bullish engulfing here. A little bit of selling pressure still left in this thing. I wish this was just small little candlesticks pulling back. But it looks like it's trying. And this is kind of what it looks like. We're towards the bottom end of this flag pattern. GDX up 2.28%. Today, looks like we're trying to put in a turn, try to turn this momentum around. We'll see if we've got more sideways action or if it actually has the momentum to keep going higher. And that's the same comments. You come on back and usually you come up, you might move around, usually come down into like a pattern that looks like this where it squeezes up and then you kind of push higher. So we'll see. SILJ also doing the same thing as GDX and GDXJ. I think we'll go sideways for a little bit before heading higher. Crude oil down just a little bit. I'm looking for a move to the upside. I am looking for a move to the upside in crude. We've broken the downtrend line. We've squeezed up into a corner. So it's like a spring getting coiled up and then it releases energy. And in my opinion, I think that energy is going to be released to the upside. We've broken the downtrend line and we have small selling pressure today down 0.35%. TTF gas down right against support. We were down 0.4%, and we'll see if that support level holds. Let me see if I can look at this a little bit different. We could also maybe put this up like that. Maybe that's a continuation pattern a little bit, where we've got a little bit more downside, but we're right against support. We'll see what occurs there. Nat gas up 2.5%. Looks like it's trying to bottom down here. And we had a sharp selling pressure move after the cold weather came through. I know we're having warm weather here right now at the moment, and it looks like it's probably trying to base out, give it some time. XOP, yeah, you know me, hitting it up, 0.14% up today. We have broken that downtrend line. I still think on the bigger picture view, shoulder, head, shoulder. And we're still carving out at least the way that I view this, a right hand shoulder. If you're laying down and this is your head, that'd be the right hand shoulder. So yeah, let's see if crude oil can take off here and if we can turn this momentum around. OIH up 0.51%. We bounced off the bottom trend line here, and hopefully we can get some momentum to the upside. We need crude oil, we need nat gas to kind of turn around because energy services basically services everything. Sprott Physical Uranium Trust down 1.5%. Looks like we're coming back a little bit. I'm going to delete this. I kind of just threw that in there, guessing the pattern. But we were down a little bit today for the Sprott Physical Uranium Trust. It didn't impact the equities though. So we're still up there, getting a little bit of selling pressure today. We'll see what the next few days has in store for us. URA up today. Momentum still to the downside. We'll see if this thing can turn around. But again, the gap could be filled here, basically, or almost filled. And maybe we go on up. Again, sometimes in the short term, when we get a lot of volatility and it's in both directions, you don't necessarily know where it's going to go. It's not like you're squeezing down with slower and slower momentum. And then you get to kind of work your way on up, grind on higher. This is kind of getting a little bit more volatile with, both in both directions. You don't necessarily know which direction is going to overpower. If the seller is going to overpower the buyers is going to overpower the sellers. Uranium up 3.14%. We still have a lot of momentum downward. We'll see if the buyers can reverse this trend. If we get a small little up candlestick, it could come back like this in kind of a flag pattern type formation. Just to let you guys know, URNJ is doing the same thing. We had a lot of selling pressure here. We bounced today, but we got to see if there's follow through, or if we kind of do some sort of pattern that goes up and then we fall back down here. Again, I don't know what the future holds, but we'll watch it together. TAN up 3% today. Looks like it's trying to hold this support resistance line that's above us here. We have some pretty good buying pressure down here. The Green Army did show up. We kind of squeezed up into the corner there and then came back. It looks like it's trying to base out here. COPX up 2.23, bouncing off the support level in the general vicinity, and we'll see if we can get traction there. I think copper looked pretty good today, the metal itself, and we'll see if we can get some follow through. It's just been chucking sideways for the most part since 2021. We've been consolidating at a pretty good price too. Lithium down up 0.36%. Still momentum to the downside. I wouldn't jump in it at this time. It looked like we were going to get a nice good bottom here to move higher, but then it just pooped out with interest rates. Some of these areas are very sensitive to interest rates, and you need to be monitoring interest rates as we go. And you can see when interest rates started to go up right here, that's when LIT went down. You notice that? And those are things that you need if you're going to try to trade in the short term. You better know what's driving what. REMX is another one that's real sensitive to interest rates, and it's pulled on back. SPX up, still looks good, and it looks like we could release from this resistance trend line and really get moving here at all-time highs for the S&P 500. NASDAQ also moving up 0.43%, and we've got a little bit of resistance going across, so we'll see if we can clear that resistance area up here. KRE down 0.96%. I know yields on the long end were up. Probably going to have an impact on the regional banks and on the home builders. But that is a little bit of a reversal candlestick. We'll probably base out here for a little bit. Emerging markets up 0.87%. Looks like it's trying to turn around. But again, we've been basing here for a little while here. We're just stuck in this congestion zone. We've got XHB down 3%. A little bit more selling pressure. It's not a reversal candlestick, kind of just a big down day. But these sectors are getting hit with higher and higher interest rates, which is going to impact mortgage rates, which will affect affordability, which will affect, I think, the loaning, the loans going into the system. Move up 0.4%, but still looks like we're kind of stair-stepping lower here. So I would just hold on and look for a bottom here. We are getting close to a support level at 69 bucks. Copper looking pretty good here, up 1.13% on a massive bullish engulfing. We'll see if this has any follow through over the next few weeks for a potential turning point where we'll start to turn and move on up and see if we can break out of the larger, bigger consolidation pattern that we've got right there. Iron ore moving sideways today, but I think this is turning and trying to move higher for iron ore. It looks good. Aluminum, huge move today. Every time we get down to these levels, we see these big moves. And a lot of the aluminum companies, they pulled back to support and they're bouncing off their support levels quite massively. A lot of them are up like 10% or 7% or something today. That looks pretty good. Baltic Dry Index up 1%. This is going to be an extension of basically iron ore. We'll see if we can get some. It's probably going to go sideways. There's a lot of momentum here. So whenever you get these large pullbacks, generally you got to like calm it down before moving higher. So the bigger the move, you got to like basically calm it down, and then you get to a bottom, and then it starts to reverse in the opposite direction. So it looks good for Baltic Dry Index to continue higher. To continue higher, in my opinion, even though in the short term it looks pretty rough. Newcastle coal, it's spacing out still. Just give it time. There's probably good companies in the coal sector right now that you could probably pick up for pretty cheap. Bitcoin down 1.88%. Doesn't look that great, to be honest. We're stair-stepping lower here, and we'll see if that continues. We got to see the Green Army show up and reverse this move to the upside for me to turn bullish. Right now, momentum downside. And Ethereum, momentum downside. We kind of lost our cookies here and just blew out to the downside. So that's what I'm seeing in Ethereum and Bitcoin. But bigger picture view on those, that doesn't look too great. We'll see. We'll see. I need more data to really make an opinion here. And this could be. I mean, let me redraw some of this here, guys. Let me. I got all these like short-term little stair-stepping patterns. I mean, this could be. I'm going to draw it in here. A gigantic flag pattern here, guys, where this thing eventually blows to the downside. Maybe, maybe. We'll see. But that's what I've got for today. Give me a thumb up for the content. Subscribe to the channel. If you haven't, subscribe to the website if you like. You can use the word discount if you'd like to get yourself a little bit of a discount. And yeah, that's what I've got for today. I'm looking and watching oil. I want to see oil break. I want to see oil break. I want natural gas to calm its move down. We are coming up to springtime, in between heating season and power demand or power burn. So we could see natural gas bottom here at some point over the next few months. It might go sideways and base out for a little bit, but obviously it depends on if we get more cold weather and more cold fronts running through as well in February and stuff and March. But yeah, that's what we've got for today, guys. So we'll catch you next time. This is Finding Value.